We've all daydreamed at least once about a new, sporty car that's fast and has the looks to back that ass up. It may be a newer version of your E46 M3. Or a complete reach like a Huracan Performante. But either way, this dream usually comes with a price of significant depreciation, making it less than ideal. But there are a few sports car models that we're gonna cover in this video that have high enough demand that their resale value 5 years down the road is a lot less than, say, the $100,000 loss you'll take when driving a new Maserati. Don't believe me? I covered that in 5 top sports cars that you'll lose the most value on. So you might want to go check that over here. It sucks a lot for the dude that bought that new. And see, my goal in this video is for you to do the complete opposite of what that Maserati owner did. Hey yo! We're going to cover 5 sports cars that depreciated the least amount over the past 5 years. So here's the deal. This list is sorted by the cars that you'll lose the most on first. American. And the last car on this list, the 5th one, is an incredible value where you'll lose less than 20% over a 60-month ownership period. German. Aha, first on the list is American Iron, the car that old car guys buy to fulfill their childhood dreams. And middle-aged men having a midlife crisis buy after their second divorce. Yeah, we are talking about the C7 Corvette. Now the C7 Vet seemed a lot like the C6 and C5 before it. I mean, the same old pushrod V8 up front, same transverse leaf springs out back, but now the New Balances were optional. Why? Because this Corvette absolutely demolished its competition with its quote-unquote old school V8 pushing out 460 horses, which rips this car from 0 to 60 in just 4.2 seconds. And Chevrolet nailed it with the aesthetics of this baby. And the handling can hold its own against any foe. On paper, this one seems like the one that you bring home to meet the parents. But there is one glaring issue: exclusivity. There were a ton of 7th gen Corvettes made, a ton of 6th generation Corvettes made, and a ton of 5th gen Corvettes made. And they're all out there roaming in the wild. See, on any given nice day, you'll see a few or a few hundred, but for good reason, because they hold their value quite well. I mean, check this out. Aha, the good old Chevy Corvette. So a 2014 base would run you roughly $52,000. Now the depreciation hit would be about 46.1% according to the graph on the left, which will cost you roughly $23,972 or $4,794 per year to drive this beast. Next on the list, we're gonna go across the pond and talk about the Porsche Cayman. This is the little brother of the rear engine 911, but the Cayman punches above its weight in both looks and performance. And I might get a little heat here, but for canyon carving, HPDE events, or anything track related for that matter, I personally feel like the Cayman is actually way easier to drive fast. And you may be thinking that I'm just a driver, and you may be right, but that might be because the Cayman S with the 3.4 liter dry sump flat 6 pushing out 325 horses rockets this thing from 0 to 60 in just 4.4 seconds. And losing the tail in the turn isn't that oh moment like you may have in the booty of a heavy 911. Seriously, I've had to check my underwear once or thrice in my air-cooled 911 with no nannies. Oh, and if you want to see pics, not in my underwear, but actually just Porsches and other ideal cars, go follow me on Insta at Ideal Cars TV. And here's the thing about the Cayman. It's sharper, it's longer, it's thicker than previous generations. All things that help masculinize it. Yeah, it might be the 911's little brother, but I think the stigma of it being a lesser Porsche is in the past. Let's take a look at the ideal specs. MSRP was around $65,000, though you could load these up to 100K plus. Depreciation, as you can see, is roughly 41% over the first 5 years of ownership, which would cost you roughly $26,650, or only $5,330 per year to enjoy this beautiful mid-engine Porsche. Okay, you have to make me one promise before I introduce the next car on the list. You cannot ever consider getting it with an automatic. Yeah, we're talking about the Toyota FRS. And you gotta love this car. Long hood, short deck lid, and a stub of a trunk lid. This is the type of car that doesn't need a racetrack to make you grin from ear to ear. The 2-liter pushes out 200 horses and will do 0 to 60 in 7.1 seconds. The FRS has precise handling with responsive turn-in. And this car is a ton of fun when you pitch it to angles you were supposed to learn in geometry. But this instant classic isn't just a handsome, timeless design. Oh no. It's also a great value. Yes, the FRS. Now, the MSRP is actually pretty low. In 2014, it was just $25,255, and the depreciation was 36.7% over the first 5 years, which means it costs $9,268 to own it, or roughly $1,853. Not bad, FRS. not bad. Now the runner-up on this list came in coupe, sedan, and wagon, and all three of them came with a 6-speed that was mated to a supercharged V8. Dearborn, you've outdone yourself once again with the Cadillac CTS-V. Let's not beat around the bush. A wagon that can do 0 to 60 in 4 seconds flat is an unreal sleeper in my book. But believe it or not, it was actually the runner-up in my 5 modern American sleepers that you should never race. So you might want to go check that out over here. Yes, Cadillacs just don't know how to win. But that is beside the point, because with 556 horsepower on tap, huge 6-piston Brembo front brakes, and coil springs front and rear, this thing will pretty much run with anything in both the straights and the curves. Plus, you have one of the fastest, fiercest grocery getters out there that ever came out of the big three. I mean, this is the full meal deal. Breakfast, you have the coupe, lunch, you have the sedan, and dinner, you have the wagon. But not only that, it also holds value extremely well. Man, that coupe design is definitely unique. Do you like it? Let me know down in the comments. Now, for the ideal specs on a 2014 CTSV, MSRP, the lowest of low, is $65,825, though you could get these loaded and it would cost you 80 grand or more. Depreciation was really kind to this car at 34.9% over the first 5 years, which would cost you roughly $22,972 or $4,594 per year to drive this LS supercharged Cadillac. Oh boy. Now this makes me extremely happy. No, not this video is almost done and you're still watching it, though that does make me happy too. But the winner chicken dinner is the Porsche 911. Porsche has reinvented the 911 8 times, and the 7th generation 911, also known as the 991, is the sports car that all other sports cars are measured against. But what's absolutely crazy is the 6 horizontally opposed cylinders and ill-advised rear engine location is not the mainstream pedigree for high-performance sports cars. And yet, somehow the Porsche 911 just rises above them all. Oh boy, I'm fanboying right now. But seriously, you have 400 horses on tap that will blitz 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. You'll have just as much fun running errands as you will taking the long way home. The engine, the transmission, and the chassis is just that good. And believe me, I don't recommend buying new mass-produced cars really ever. But used Porsche 911s are in such high demand that it wouldn't be the worst thing that you've ever done. And if you do, take European delivery and take me with you. I can fit in a suitcase. Yep, here is the 911, the winner. So, the ideal specs. MSRP on a Carrera in 2014 was $84,300. Depreciation was extremely kind to the 911, and it kind of always has been at only 23% over the first 5 years, which would cost you $19,389 in depreciation to own that bad car, which would only cost you $3,877 per year. I know which car would be my ideal car. Which one would be yours? Also, if you haven't checked out the Maserati that will lose you over $100,000 in the first 5 years of ownership, well, now's your chance. So click here. Or if you want to check out what YouTube recommends, click here. Also, if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Our best content isn't even out yet. But either way, you can't lose. And as always, keep living that ideal lifestyle.